Top Roman things to see and do in and around Hadrian's Wall. The remains, finds and recreations from and near the almost 2,000-year-old Hadrian's Wall are staggering. But what to prioritise if you're short on time? There is so much to see and experience that it will really depend on individual taste as to what to see. Each site has something special or different to offer, depending on what you're interested in and the time you have. To help you choose, I will briefly cover the bigger sites, including my highlights from each. I will focus on the Vindolanda Fort and Museum, the Roman Army Museum, Housesteads Roman Fort, Roman Corbridge, Chester's Fort with the Clayton Museum, Segedunum at Wallsend, Arbeia in South Shields, Birdoswald Fort and the wall itself at the Sycamore Gap. Please stay to the end for all the detail. I hope you enjoy. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching Eclectic Experience, change seen through images. These places are all easily accessible by road, with nearby car parks or on-road parking, with some closer than others. Most have toilets and some have cafes. They all generally involve a bit of walking, often on uneven ground. The great thing about this area is the amazing straight roads next to the wall and forts, making them generally easily accessible by road. Unfortunately, that means there is less of the wall to see, as in the 18th century, a General Wade built the straight military road, now the B6318, following the course of Hadrian's Wall, actually using the wall to build it. The Emperor Hadrian ordered the construction of the wall starting in AD 122, and it marked the northern edge of the Roman Empire. It was actually mainly built by legionnaires, soldiers, and stretched literally from coast to coast. Initially built of wood and turf in some places, as well as stone. As well as the wall, over time the Romans also built and modified forts and other buildings, and towns also sprang up next to these settlements. To get an idea of what it would have looked like, we'll first go to Vindolanda Fort Museum, located here. This is an incredibly impressive site, with the original fort, together with this reconstruction, and the civilian area next door. One of the best bits of this site is its museum, which has a fantastic collection of finds. The most significant is known as the Vindolanda hoard, which are incredibly notes from everyday people which give an idea of what life was really like at the fort. These tablets are really significant and were recently featured as part of a British Museum exhibition. The Vindolanda Museum is also the home of this fantastic piece of painted glassware. Also run by the Vindolanda Trust is the Roman Army Museum, very close by, as we see here. This site has a lot of recreations of armour, weapons and good visuals on history, so the visitor can see what things could have been like for the Roman soldier. There are also archaeological digs here, as at Vindolanda, with very enthusiastic volunteers to explain what is going on. Chester's Fort is located here, where it straddled Hadrian's Wall. The bathhouse remains here are fantastic. These are the original ruins, but if you want to know what the bathhouse might have looked like from the outside during Roman times, there's actually a reconstruction at Segedunum at Wallsend. Did you know that Hadrian's Wall went across rivers as well? There are no surviving examples of the bridges that crossed the rivers, but if we look on the bank across the river from Chester's Fort, we can see the bridge's landing platform. It is some distance from the river, as the river's path has actually changed over time. Here is a notice board showing what the bridge might have looked like. There are also stones in the river from the bridge. Also on this site are excellent remains of barrack blocks, gatehouses, and this arched underground room. Another amazing curiosity of this site is the old Clayton Museum, with its old display cases and masses of stonework. And the museum itself looks pretty much as it would have done 100 years ago. It's well worth seeing just for that. One of the best known forts, which is actually on Hadrian's Wall itself, is Housesteads. It is a bit of a walk from the car park, but again well worth it for the remains and seeing how they interact with the wall. Looking at the map, Housesteads Fort is located here, just a little way on from Vindolanda. There are impressive views here, as well as good remains of many buildings, including gatehouses, the toilet block, water tanks and other buildings. There's also a museum on the site as well. Moving along a little bit, Corbridge is a significant village now, with a bridge over the River Tyne. But the village itself used to be next to the Roman fort, and then after the Roman army left, it actually moved slightly to its current position. The first fort on this site actually predates Hadrian's Wall by about 40 years, and that's one of the reasons why it ended up being about 2.5 miles away from the wall. The Roman remains here include this amazing grain store, where we can see the suspended floor still in place. Corbridge was also the site of the Corbridge hoard, which was a wooden box buried by a Roman soldier that was then dug up nearly 1,900 years later. Its contents are on display at the museum. One really amazing part of the hoard is this plate armour, which we see here on this model. One side is the original and on the other is a modern copy showing what it would have looked like. If you're up to a bit of walking, a great place to see a good section of Hadrian's Wall itself is at the Sycamore Gap, where part of Robin Hood Prince of Thieves was filmed. Unfortunately, the tree is no longer there, but we can still get a really good sense of the wall. A bit further away in South Shields is the Arbeia Roman fort. This is actually free and has a superb reconstruction of a guardhouse and a barrack block, and also part of the commanding officer's house. In the small museum there are also some great pieces, including a chainmail suit. Moving on to Segedunum at Wallsend, named, funnily enough, as it is actually the end of Hadrian's Wall. There is a reconstruction of a bathhouse, though as I mentioned earlier this is closed to the public, but also probably more significantly on the other side of the road there is a section of recreated wall, which is really useful to get a good idea of the height and power that this stone wall would have had when most people were living in basically mud and straw huts. Also at the site there is a good museum that covers how the wall was actually constructed. Birdoswald Fort is located here and has some great remains of a gatehouse. It also has this, not Roman, but this musical instrument is actually great fun. This site is also really good to see how the occupation of a land area can change over the years. After being deserted for centuries, it was reoccupied in the 11th century inside the Roman walls and became a fortified farm. It was actually farmed right up until 1984. There are lots of other places to see when exploring the area, and a couple I enjoyed included seeing smaller sections of the wall, such as Headon on the Wall, and if in Newcastle, the Great North Museum is well worth checking out for its section on the wall. Visiting tips. If you can decide which ones of these to visit, then it's well worth the effort going. My top tip is to wear good footwear and take waterproofs, as it is quite possible, and I did get caught in downpours, The sites are in different ownership, but English Heritage probably has the most, so it might be worthwhile considering a membership to reduce costs of admission and car parking if you're going to attend quite a few of their sites. And the other real good thing is to enjoy. This is truly a world-class group of remains and museums that have survived nearly 2,000 years. Absolutely incredible. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I make more similar ones, so please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching Eclectic Experience. Change seen through images.